Hello, Summertime English 1102 students. Welcome to my video lecture on Amy Tan's Two Kinds. So if you haven't done so already, I'd like for you to open up that slideshow that's in the folder, the prose folder for this semester in D2L, and open up the one that says English 1102 Summer 2015 Prose. And then go to slide number 22. That is where Amy Tan's Two Kinds begins, and it will show a picture of Amy Tan. Now, Amy Tan is still alive. She was born in 1952, as you can see, and I'm not going to do the math and reveal her age. You'll just have to do that on your own. But you also notice that she's Chinese. Now, she, I believe, was born in the United States, in the San Francisco area, but she's a Chinese American. Her parents were native-born Chinese folks, so that's kind of important. Now, one thing to know about Two Kinds is only one chapter out of a larger book. It is one chapter out of a book called The Joy Luck Club, which is about a section of San Francisco, kind of the Chinatown section of San Francisco. And a lot of people that are there immigrated from China. Some of them, like Jing Mei's mother, immigrated during the war with Japan. So when it talks about the war and how she had to leave thinking that her dad and her two children were dead, that's what she's fleeing from. This was right around World War II, and China and Japan were at war with each other. So that is an important aspect to know, is the setting and the background for Jing Mei's mother. Jing Mei herself is born in the United States. So this is going to cause a lot of the tension between Jing Mei and her mother, is the fact that her mother is of traditional Japanese or traditional Chinese thoughts and beliefs, whereas Jing Mei is American pretty much through and through. All right, so let's go ahead and start the slideshow here. Again, there it is, one of the short stories in her short story collection, The Joy Luck Club. The Joy Luck Club, by the way, was made into a movie. And it wasn't a great commercial success, but it was a critical success. People did like it. So that's something that you may want to check out if you really like Amy Tan. There is several different clashes throughout. Mother versus daughter. For you women out there, how often did you and your mother lock horns? And really, there's no villains when this happens. In fact, that is actually one of the questions I think I have. Oh, there it is, right there on the slide. Is Jing Mei's mother a villain, or is she not? I would say she's not. She makes some mistakes as a parent, but what parent doesn't? But she does want what's best for Jing Mei, even if her methods for trying to get it are ones that Jing Mei can't agree with. You've got a Chinese immigrant who's the mother versus a first-generation Chinese American. Jing Mei is the first of her family to be born in China. And this is going to cause all kinds of chaos. As you can imagine, any parents born in another country but immigrating to the United States would have problems with their children. And then we've got the greatness versus ordinary. Remember, Jing Mei's mother wants her to be a prodigy. She wants her to be the best at something, although she does say, "Who asked you to be best?" Well, that's exactly what her mother wants. I mean, let's be honest. And we see this even today when parents push their children too hard. Hey, you must play baseball. You must practice the piano 5 hours a day. You must. And the children, sometimes there's some blowback on that when the children get a little older and say, "Hey, wait, I'm not a musician. I'm not an athlete. I just want to do what I want to do." So when Jing Mei's mother pushes her so hard to learn the world capitals and to play the piano on a daily basis and then to perform at a recital, even though Jing Mei doesn't want to. This is something that parents, even in the 21st century, are guilty of. All right, so you got those clashes. You got Jing Mei's mother, villain or not. I would say she's not a villain, but she does bring Jing Mei up in a way. And remember, Chinese parents want their children to be the best. Chinese parents raise their children to practice piano 5 hours a day. They raise their children to get straight A's in school. They raise their children to be the best gymnast if that's going to be their sport. This is the Chinese way. They want their son or daughter to be the best, and they will push their son or daughter to be the best possible. And sometimes it has good results, but more often than not, it has negative results on the adult once they become an adult. All right. The American Dream. Let us open up the page. By the way, I don't remember if I told you what page it is, but it is page was it 130? No. I don't believe this. Okay, give me a second. I apologize for this. It's on page 168. There it is. So turn to page 168 of your book. I thought I already had it there. I guess not. All right. And let us take a look at the opening words of Two Kinds. My mother believed you could be anything you wanted to be in America. That is the American dream. The American dream is, in the United States, if you want to be a singer, you can be a singer. If you want to be an Olympic gymnast, you can be an Olympic gymnast. If you want to open up your own business, you can open up your own business. Whatever it is. Jean May's mother believes wholeheartedly in this American dream that you could be anything you wanted to be in America. Thousands of people every single day enter the United States, many of them legally, many of them illegally, but everybody enters the United States because there is this American dream that once people get over here to the United States, they can do anything they want. It's not like at home, not like at home in Mexico, not like at home in China, not like at home in Russia, not like at home anywhere else. That is the American dream that Jean May's mother believes wholeheartedly in. So, throughout this book, or throughout this story, Jean May's mother is going to be baffled that Jean May doesn't want to be anything but herself. Jean May doesn't want to be, the best Shirley Temple type. Jean May doesn't want to be the best pianist. And a lot of it has to do with the hard work that's involved. Everybody would like, we watch the Summer Olympics every 4 years. And we see these runners setting records. And we see these swimmers setting records. And we see gymnasts and wrestlers. And you name it. There's all these athletes that compete in the Olympics. And everybody wants to be an Olympic gold medalist. But then you get to see the stories of how they got there. How hard these Olympians had to work. Sacrifices that not only the Olympians themselves, but in many cases their parents. Gabby Douglas, the all-around Olympic gold medalist in gymnastics in the London Olympics back in 2012. Did you see the interview with her mother and everything her mother gave up for her so that she could pursue this Olympic dream? Now, it paid off for Gabby Douglas and for her mother, I'm sure. But it takes a lot of hard work. Jean May's mother is going to push Jean May to do all that hard work. Jean May is like, no, I don't think so. I'd just rather be an average, normal person. So, you've got the American dream there. You can achieve the American dream, but a lot of times it takes a lot more work and sacrifice than people believe. So, there's that portion of it. All right, let's see what's next. The piano lessons. Okay. Let us give credit where credit is due. If nothing else, Jean May's mother is very resourceful. And I mean very resourceful. Let us take a look at the moment when Jean May's mother has decided that she's going to make Jean May take these piano lessons. And this is going to be on page 170 and 171. Okay. So they're watching the Ed Sullivan Show. The Ed Sullivan Show was a variety show. The closest thing I can say to it now might be something like an American's Got Talent or the X Factor. To a certain extent, American Idol, although American Idol is mostly about vocals. But America's Got Talent, where they have the magicians come out, and they have the jugglers come out, and they have the singers, and they have the pianists, and they have all this stuff. This was the Ed Sullivan Show. And back when the Ed Sullivan Show was popular, there were not a lot of choices on TV. There was no cable television with, 10,000 channels. There was basically the three major networks, which Fox was not a major network at the time. It was ABC, NBC, and CBS. And you might have gotten an independent station, a local station somewhere. PBS was usually an option because it was public broadcasting that was funded by donations and things like that. So basically, that was it. You might have had 4 channels, maybe 7 or 8 tops, and that was it. So everybody on a certain night of the week, and I think it was Sunday nights if I remember correctly, gathered around the TV to see what new talent Ed Sullivan had found. So here it is. Jing Mei and her mother sitting around the TV watching the Ed Sullivan Show. So we won't talk about how the TV picture keeps going out when the mother stands up and then it comes back on. She sits down and goes out. This is something that only people who have never had cable or people who lived before cable would understand. If you've always had cable your entire life, you won't get the humor of that. All right. So there's a little girl on the television playing the piano. It's on page 170 of our book. There's a big break. So you've got the opening, then you've got this little ellipsis here. So, and then there's a break in the paragraphs. And it's a paragraph that starts with, she seemed entranced by the music. So, the mother seemed entranced by the music. Little frenzied piano piece with this mesmerizing quality, sort of quick passages, and then teasing, lilting ones before it returned to the quick, playful parts. Nikon, my mother said. Nikon is not Jing Mei's name. Her name is Jing Mei. Nikon is Chinese for look here, or look at this. Look what's going on here. So Nikon, in other words, her mom saying, hey, look at this. Nikon, my mother said, calling me over with hurried hand gestures. Look here. I could see why my mother was fascinated by the music. It was being pounded out by a little Chinese girl, about 9 years old, with a Peter Pan haircut. Now remember, earlier in this story, Jing Mei was supposed to be the first ever Chinese Shirley Temple. I have to explain Shirley Temple to you. Shirley Temple was probably the first ever America's sweetheart, as far as little girls go. So, she was this little blonde-haired, blue-eyed, 6, 7, 8-year-old girl who had the ability to sing and the ability to tap dance and the ability to basically win the hearts of everybody that watched her movies. So, Jing Mei was supposed to be the first Chinese version of that Shirley Temple, but when her mom took her to the cosmetology school in order to get the haircut necessary to look like Shirley Temple, she gets a student beautician, not a professional beautician, a student beautician who messes the haircut up badly. And it's a Peter Pan haircut. And look, on the Ed Sullivan Show, we've got, this is at the top of 171 if you're in this book, a little Chinese girl about 9 years old with a Peter Pan haircut. The girl had the sauciness of a Shirley Temple. She was proudly modest like a proper Chinese child. She also did this fancy sweep of a curtsy, so on and so forth. Next paragraph. In spite of these warning signs, I was not worried. Our family had no piano, and we could not afford to buy a piano, let alone the reams of sheet music and piano lessons. So I could be generous in my comments when my mother badmouthed the little girl on TV. So here's the mother, right? Okay, now let's look at what we just read. In spite of these warning signs, in spite of the fact that my mother's getting agitated, I have nothing to worry about. We have no piano, we can't afford a piano, we can't afford the music, we can't afford the lessons. There's nothing to worry about here. So I can be nice to this girl. Mother says, play note right, but doesn't sound good. No singing sound, complained my mother. What are you picking on her for? I said carelessly. She's pretty good. Maybe she's not the best, but she's trying hard. I knew almost immediately I would be sorry I said that. So as soon as the word, have you ever had that moment in your life where you say something and as soon as you say it, you're like, oh, I didn't mean to say that. I wish I hadn't said that. Can I take those words back, please? You didn't hear those words, right? That's kind of where Jing Mei is. As soon as she says she may not be the best, but she's trying real hard. So her mother is very resourceful. Her mother is going to find a way to get a piano and to get piano lessons. And how does she do it? With Old Man Chong. She exchanges cleaning services, because apparently her mother is a professional maid, exchanges cleaning service. She will clean Old Man Chong's apartment, and in return, Old Man Chong has to be the piano teacher for Jing Mei. Now, Jing Mei doesn't like this until she finds out that Old Man Chong is deaf. He can keep time, but he can't hear a note that she's saying. Ha. So Jing Mei is going to self-sabotage the lessons. But this goes back to the resourcefulness of the mother and Jing Mei's passive aggressiveness. And she could have taken piano lessons forever and gotten away with never playing a single note right, except there's a talent show coming up. And in that talent show, Jing Mei is going to have to play the piano. How does she get roped into the talent show? Well, let's go on further on. This is on page 172 in ours, right here above the break, up here a little bit. So, over the next year, I practiced dutifully in my own way, messing everything up, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Jing Mei's cousin Waverly is a chess prodigy. She is the best chess player in Chinatown. And for a little girl, she can beat a lot of chess masters. Waverly's mother is proud of Waverly. Jing Mei's mother is jealous because Jing Mei has never given her any reason to be as proud as Waverly's mom is of her. So, it's after church one day, and the mothers are arguing. You know, Waverly's mom mockingly, she brings home too many trophies. It's so much trouble to clean them. And of course, you know that she doesn't, mind that one bit, but she's acting like it. She gives her daughter a fake scowl. Yeah, how dare you be such a good chess champion? And Jing Mei's mother doesn't like this one bit. So she says, hey, my daughter's got music in her heart. I asked her to wash dishes, it's music. I asked her to clean her the table, it's music. Everything is music with my little Jing Mei. All right. So at the very bottom of this little section, almost at the bottom of 172, after Aunt Lindo tells Jing Mei's mother, you are so lucky you don't have this problem with too many trophies cluttering up the house. My mother squared her shoulders and bragged, our problem worser than yours. If we ask Jing Mei wash dish, she hear nothing but music. It's like you can't stop this natural talent. And right then, I was determined to put a stop to her foolish pride. Okay. She has decided, I am going to put a stop to my mom's foolish pride. And how's she going to do this? At the piano recital, at the talent show. Because Jing Mei's mother is going to tell everybody, my daughter's been practicing for a year. She is ready to perform. And I am going to go ahead and show you how great a piano player my daughter is. Now, she didn't ask Jing Mei what she thought about this. Jing Mei didn't like this idea at all. So, not only that, everybody in Chinatown is going to be at this show. I mean, everybody. All right. Notice what it says here on the slide. Jing Mei spends a lot of time practicing her curtsy. She's not going to play the piano well, but she will curtsy better than anybody else in the room. And to her, that's the most important part. Because here she's going to be in her pretty little dress, and she does wear a pretty little dress to this recital, and she's going to play badly, and then she's going to curtsy. And everybody's going to love her because she's just so adorable. At least that's what she's hoping. But she starts playing. All right, this is at the show. This is on page 173 of this book. After that little break, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. About 5 down. Actually, let's go 6 paragraphs down where it says when my turn came. So basically, they had all the little kids go first, and then they went up, little babies, and then a little older, and then they're going to get to like Jing Mei's age, and then they're going to go through the teenagers. So, so it's her turn, right? And everybody's oohed and awed at little boys and girls singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star" or whatever. I mean, basically, everybody's just being polite. You know, oh, look how cute that kid is singing, oh, that kind of thing. Now it's Jing Mei's turn. All right. When my turn came, I was very confident. I remember my childish excitement as if I knew, without a doubt, that the prodigy side of me really did exist. So here she is. Remember, earlier in the story, she looked in the mirror and her prodigy side said, hey, if you don't nourish me, I'm going to leave you. Well, she doesn't think the prodigy side is left. She thinks that the prodigy side will get her through this. Okay. This is it. This is it. I looked out over the audience at my mother's blank face and my father's yawn. Auntie Lindo's stiff-lipped smile, Waverly's sulky expression. I had on a white dress layered with sheets of lace and a pink bow in my Peter Pan haircut. And as I sat down, I envisioned people jumping to their feet and Ed Sullivan rushing up to introduce me to everyone on TV, just like the little girl that was on the Ed Sullivan show. She's picturing Ed Sullivan coming out and saying, ladies and gentlemen, Jing Mei. And I started to play. It was so beautiful. I was so caught up in how lovely I looked that at first I didn't worry how I would sound. So it was a surprise to me when I hit the first wrong note and realized something didn't sound quite right. And then I hit another, and another followed that. A chill started at the top of my head and began to trickle down. Yet I could not stop playing, as though my hands were bewitched. I kept thinking my fingers would adjust themselves back, like a train switching to the right track. I played this strange jumble through 2 repeats, the sour notes staying with me all the way to the end. So even as she is messing this song up, she cannot help but to keep playing. It's like the momentum's going now. I got to see it all the way through to the end. And oh, by the way, I'm going to repeat all this nonsense twice. How often have you been in that situation where you know you need to stop something and yet you can't, no matter how hard you try? Your brain is saying stop, but your hands are doing whatever. That's what's going on as she is really, really messing up this song in front of every parent and every child in the neighborhood. All right. When I stood up, I discovered my legs were shaking. Maybe I had just been nervous and the audience, like old Chong, had seen me go through the right motions and not heard anything wrong at all. I swept my right foot out, went down on my knee, looked up, and smiled. So she's got her curtsy down. She does her little curtsy. Looks up with a smile, and... Oops, what happened? Here we go. The room was quiet except for old Chong, who of course is deaf, who was beaming and shouting, bravo, bravo, well done. Then I saw my mother's face, her stricken face. The audience clapped weakly as I walked back to my chair. Now listen to what happened at the end. I heard a little boy whisper loudly to his mother, that was awful. And the mother whispered back, well, she certainly tried. Remember what she said about the little girl on the Ed Sullivan show? Okay, Mom, she may not be the best, but at least she's trying. And look at how it came back and bit her. How it came full circle, and now that she's messed up in front of the entire room, the mom said, son, don't talk about how awful she is. At least you tried. Bam. Okay. Then we get the final confrontation. This is the climactic moment of the story. And all of this starts because Jing Mei thinks that since she messed up so badly, she doesn't have to practice piano anymore. She thinks that her mom is now going to give up. No, not at all. The mom is going to come in and say it's time to practice, just like she's always done for the past year. 4 o'clock, get on the piano. This time, Jing Mei, for the first time in her life, is going to contradict her mother and say no. She has never contradicted her mother before. This is a turning point in Jing Mei's life. This is the moment where nothing will ever be the same again. This is what happens in the climax of every movie, or every story, every short story, every novel. Once you get to the climax, nothing will ever be the same afterwards again. That is where Jing Mei and her mother are at this point. Let us take a look at that moment. In our book, it is on page 174. So Her mom says, turn off the TV, da da da. She came back, it's 4 o'clock. I'm not going to play anymore, I said nonchalantly. Why should I? I'm not a genius. She walked over and stood in front of the TV. I saw her chest was heaving up and down in an angry way. No, I said, and now I felt stronger, as if my true self had finally emerged. So this is what had been inside me all along. The mother's chest is heaving because little Jing Mei has never contradicted her before. She's never once said no to her mother. Her mom says, practice piano, she goes practice piano. Her mom says, wash dishes, she goes wash dishes. All of this stuff. Now, little girl Jing Mei has just said no to her. She's never experienced this before. How dare you? And listen to Jing Mei. So this is what's been inside me all along. But that's not all. It gets better. It gets to the point where the mother grabs her by the arm and starts dragging her to the piano, snapping off the TV on the way by. She lifted me up onto the hard bench. I was sobbing by now, looking at her bitterly. Her chest was heaving even more and her mouth was open, smiling crazily as if she were pleased that I was crying. You want me to be something that I'm not, I sobbed. I'll never be the kind of daughter you want me to be. Mother looks down at her. Only 2 kinds of daughters, she shouted in Chinese. She doesn't even say this in English. She says it in Chinese. Those who are obedient and those who follow my own mind. Only one kind of daughter can live in this house, an obedient daughter. So at this point, the mother has laid down the law. You live in this house, you will listen to me, you will be obedient, you will do as I say. Then I wish I wasn't your daughter, I wish you weren't my mother. I shouted. As I said these things, I got scared. It felt like worms and toads and slimy things crawling out of my chest. But it also felt good. As if this awful side of me had surfaced at last. So, it feels scary. She's scared. All this slimy stuff is crawling out of her chest and making itself known to her. And yet, she's still okay with this. She says, this feels good. Being able to say this to my mother is exactly what I have needed all this time. Too late to change this, said my mother shrilly. So Shrilly's like, too late to change this! Is probably what it looks like. All right? Now, I could sense her anger rising to its breaking point, and I wanted to see it spill over. So Jing Mei at this point sees that her mother is finally about to blow her top, and she's gone too far at this point. She needs to see it happen. She says, this is it. I'm going to push her further than I have ever pushed her before. As if she hasn't already, right? And that's when I remembered the babies she had lost in China. The ones we never talked about. Then I wish I'd never been born, I shouted. I wish I were dead like them. Jing Mei has just fired a bazooka at her mother verbally. I wish I was dead like those 2 twins that are dead over in China that you left behind. And take a look at what happens next. It was as if I had said the magic words, Alakazam! And her face went blank, her mouth closed, her arms went slack, and she backed out of the room, stunned, as if she were blowing away like a small brown leaf, thin, brittle, lifeless. So, after she says that, that's it. Point of no return, nothing can ever be the same again. This is when Jing Mei has finally made that turn and started to become her own woman instead of the woman that her mother wants her to become. And then, of course, you've got the aftermath. And I'm not going to spend much time on the aftermath, but Jing Mei never has to practice piano again, but she will always disappoint her mother by always being ordinary. In fact, we can actually take a look at that little passage. In the years that followed, I failed her so many times, each time asserting my own will. My right to fall short of expectations. I did not get straight A's. I did not become class president. I did not get into Stanford. I actually dropped out of college. For unlike my mother, I did not believe I could be anything I wanted to be. I could only be me. Key passage there. My mom felt like I could be anything in the world I wanted. I knew better. I felt like the only thing I can be is myself. And right up to the point of her mother's death. And then, of course, you get the end where she plays the one song that she botched at the recital, and then she sees more sheet music on the other side, plays it, and realizes, hey, these are two sides of the same coin. So that is Two Kinds. Let me look through here and see if I have forgotten anything that might be important. If you want to write a paper, we have just spent, what have we spent so far? We have already spent right at 30 minutes on this, which is about all I really wanted to spend on these videos. But I think I've covered everything, but let me take a look. Okay, nothing in our feminist theory. Explore the mother-daughter conflict in Two Kinds. I think we've done that ad nauseum. Marxist criticism, I don't think there's anything. New historicism. Okay. How do the differences in Jing Mei's background and her mother's background cause major conflict throughout the story? We did not discuss this in great detail, but the fact is that since the mother is a traditional Chinese lady who is a refugee of a war, of a major war, who has come to America as an immigrant, she has a different set of values and a different set of beliefs. And Jing Mei, being an American from birth, even though she was born to Chinese parents, has totally different attitudes. She's always grown up with a television in the living room. She's a little bit rebellious, which is not the case with many Chinese girls that are in China. And so you've got that. Okay, analyze conflict between Jing Mei's determination just to be herself and her mother's determination to make her into a prodigy. We've talked about that, I think, in great detail. And although Jing Mei's mother in Two Kinds is clearly the antagonist, is she truly a villain? I'm going to say I don't think so. I think that she is probably misguided in some of the decisions she makes as a parent, but I don't think she's a villain per se. I think that she wants what's best for Jing Mei, and she's doing it the way that she knows how, as somebody from China and as somebody who has a firm belief that anybody can be anything in the United States. And Jing Mei doesn't understand that because she's always lived in the United States. She didn't have to put up with the war, did not have to flee from bullets and soldiers. So her mother, I would say, is not a villain. She makes mistakes, but I think that overall she really wants what's best for Jing Mei. I think after the fight, Jing Mei even realizes this in the final epilogue, in those final 3 or 4 paragraphs. She realizes, yeah, okay, I disappointed my mother over and over again, but my mom was really a nice lady. I probably could have done better. All right, so that's it. That's Two Kinds. I hope that this video has been enlightening, and I hope that the slideshow has been enlightening, and I hope you've enjoyed the story, and I hope if you're going to write your paper on Two Kinds that I've given you some good ideas.